Welcome to Ground Control. I have had some inquiries in the past about how I perform my repairs when I crash my planes. Well, I've crashed this one again, and I've bent the nose. I have bent both of the external fuel pods at the end of the wings. I have broken the right horizontal stabilizer into 3 different pieces. Not good. So I thought what I would do is I would get my material, my supplies together, and we would do a little tutorial on how I go about repairing this kind of damage. This is a type of damage you're going to see most of the time with these foam planes. Something is going to be smashed, something is going to be bent, something is going to be cracked, or something is going to be broken off. And my experience has been that's about 90% of the repairs that you're going to be doing to these airframes. So the material and the supplies that I have in order to complete these, I have a kettle for heating water. Hot water will straighten out this foam. You need paper towel or paper napkins, some type of cloth. I've got a little microfiber cloth here. I pick them up like a pack of 3 or 4 at Harbor Freight, real cheap. A pair of rubber gloves, a little package of straight pins, and the glue that I'm going to be using. I want to thank Paul Hope for telling me about E6000 glue. The last couple of airframes that I have used my Foam Cure foam tack on, which is what I normally use, has not held very well. I think that they're able to mold this type of foam now so that it's getting very slick. There's not any bumps in it. And so that makes it hard, I think, for that glue to hold on to. So I have had components that have broken free on the last couple of airframes that I have assembled with foam tack and foam cure. So when I needed to make my first repair on this, Paul Hope told me that the E6000 works really well not only on EPO foam but on EPP foam. Now this plane is made out of EPO foam. So I made my original repairs on this plane with E6000 glue, and it worked fantastic. So I'm going to be using this glue going forward for EPO and EPP planes. You don't want to use it on EPS foam or styrofoam or Adams Ready board because it will dissolve that type of foam. So for my Adams Ready board planes, I'm still going to have to use foam cure, foam tack, and hot glue to put those together. But for EPO and EPP foam, this is great. You can find it just about everywhere, and it's less expensive than foam cure and foam tack. I found this at my local Lowe's hardware store. You can get it at Target, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, all kinds of different places, or you can buy it online. So it's nice to have a glue that I can pick up locally when I need it, and I don't have to wait for it to be shipped to me. So that's great. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate is I'm going to demonstrate using the hot water method to straighten out foam. So we're going to take the plane outside. I'm going to heat this water in the kettle. I'm going to get it to boil. I'm going to let it set for a couple of minutes to get it down below, the boiling temperature. And then first thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten out the nose, and I'm going to use this rag to throw over it to kind of protect the foam and also hold the heat on there a little bit better. The first time I saw that performed was Andrew Newton. So none of these procedures or processes are ones that I've created myself. They are procedures and processes I've seen others perform, and I have adopted them for my own repairs. So what you'll see now is the hot water method of straightening out the foam nose on this now that it's bent. Once you see that, we'll come back here and I will put up some pictures of before and after of the nose, of the fuel pods, and of the horizontal stabilizer, which is pretty bent up too. So the first thing that I always do on these repairs is do everything I can to get the foam straightened back out before I start gluing stuff together. So I'll be back here in a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do with this T33 is try to straighten out the nose. Now I watched Andrew Newton do this one time, and he put a rag over the top of it. And I thought, that's a pretty good idea because it will hold the heat where you need it. So I've got a kettle that I just brought to a boil, and then I let it simmer back down below a boil, and I'm just going to pour it on this nose. I'm going to tilt it down so it doesn't get in the electronics. I'm going to pour it over the nose. I want it to hold the heat where I need it on that right side with this rag over the top of it. Sometimes it'll take several treatments to get the foam to straighten back out. Sometimes it depends on how compressed the foam is. You can't always get it perfect, but it will certainly be a lot better than what you started with. And so I wanted to show this process on film once. I took a picture of it before I started this process, and then I'll take another picture to show you what it looks like afterwards. But this process works pretty well. It makes the air inside the foam push the foam back out, and then when it cools, it maintains that shape again. You know, the foam really doesn't want to be compressed. Alright, so I'm going to let that cool, and then I'm going to start more water boiling, and then I'll inspect it and see if I need to give it another treatment. I may not need to. Okay, so you got to see how I applied the hot water treatment. Now I want to put up a picture before and after, and we'll start with the nose, and then we'll look at the left side fuel pod, the right side fuel pod, and then the horizontal stabilizer, all before and after pictures. So first I'll show you the before picture of the nose up on the screen now, and then I'll show you the after picture after the hot water treatment was applied. You saw that the nose was completely straight now in the after picture compared to the before picture. But did you notice the alligator skin on the nose? And the reason that that happened is I either got the water too hot, or I applied the hot water for too long. I probably should have poured about half of that water on it and then stopped and then inspected it to see if I needed to apply any more, and then go from there. I don't know what the perfect temperature is for the water to keep that from happening. Maybe if you're interested in actually gauging the temperature of the water before you apply it, maybe start off with 180, 185 degree water, and then test it and then adjust it from there. But I guess it's a good thing that happened because you get to see the result of it. Although now I've got alligator skin on the front of my nose, which isn't good. But the most important thing is the nose is perfectly straight now. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and put up a picture of the left fuel pod, before picture, and then the after picture. All right, and then the right side fuel pod, before picture, and then the after picture. And you can see in the before pictures that the fuel pods were bent in a little bit, and that's because this plane cartwheeled, and so it hit the nose, it hit the left fuel pod, it hit the right fuel pod, and then it caught the horizontal stabilizer on the right hand side before it came to rest. So it bent all those components and then broke one. Okay, so now I will show you a picture of the horizontal stabilizer before the hot water treatment, and then after the hot water treatment was applied. So it straightened it out. It straightened out all these components really, really well. You just have to be careful about how much heat and how long you apply the heat. Otherwise, like I said, you get the alligator skin. Okay, so now that you've seen the hot water treatment, I'll go ahead and pause it here, get my rubber gloves and stuff on, and get the glue, and we will start putting the horizontal stabilizer together. The first thing that I'm going to do, because this is broken in 3 pieces, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to glue the 2 smaller pieces on the end of the horizontal stabilizer. I'm going to glue those together first and pin them in place and let that glue set up for a few hours before I go ahead and glue on the main portion of the horizontal stabilizer to the fuselage to make sure everything is straight and held together. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, continuing with our repairs, as I stated, we're going to take care of the 2 small breaks in the horizontal stabilizer first. I have disconnected the control rod, and I use a liberal amount of glue on these. Okay, and it's a contact cement, so I like to push the part together and then open it back up for about 5 or 10 seconds. And then push the part back together again. And then I'll just use my glove to pull off the excess glue. Okay. And then I'm going to take some pins and I'm going to pin that in place. Okay, and then just inspect it, make sure that it's straight. And then I am going to apply glue to the second small break, right in the all the way down into the crack. Now you have to be careful, you don't want to get glue on your foam hinge. And my foam hinge is still intact, thankfully. Okay, push it together. Open it back up for about 5-10 seconds. Let some of the solvent evaporate. I think that helps start the curing process on contact cement. Wipe up your excess again. Okay, and get it back into position. And then we're going to pin it as well. Okay, and then inspect your work and make sure that everything is nice and straight. I'm going to put one more pin in it. Okay, now I'm going to let that set up for a few hours before I reattach the entire horizontal stabilizer back to the fuselage. So we'll be back in a few hours. The last part of our repair, so I've let this set up for 24 hours, so I'm just going to twist these pins and pull them out while I'm twisting them because they are going to be embedded in glue. There we go. And these two, and the last one. Okay, so that feels pretty solid. Make sure that we haven't bound up our control surface at all. That looks good. Okay, so now it's time to attach the main portion of the horizontal stabilizer onto the fuselage again. So, let me get my gloves on. Feel like a surgeon. Performing surgery. Okay, I have my pins ready to go. I'll have to clean up my old ones before I use them again. Alright, so we are going to once again use a liberal amount of glue to make sure that we get it all covered. Don't want to have any voids. Don't want to get any on the elevator. Okay. And once again, we're going to push it together. Wipe off the excess. Push it together. Okay, now this one's going to need to be pinned right away. See that? It keeps pushing out. So I'm going to start at the end here. Wipe off the excess. Get my next pin ready to go. And make sure that we're nice and straight and even with the other one. That looks pretty good. I'm driving those in pretty far to hold it in place, and each time I do that, I'll go back and check it and make sure. Okay, and I think I'm going to put one more back here in the back. Okay, I like that. Everything looks good. I'm just going to clean up the excess on the bottom portion of it and let that set up for 24 hours. And then we'll be able to hook our control linkage back up to it and check everything. Alright, I'll see you guys in 24 hours. It has been more than 24 hours since we reattached our horizontal stabilizer, so let's go ahead and pull out our pins, check our work. Don't forget, you get a little twist them while you're pulling them out so that any glue that's attached to it will break free. Okay. So we got some pinholes, but our elevator is fine. Our horizontal stabilizer is nice and solid again, just as solid as the other side is. So I think we are complete on our repairs. The only thing I have left to do is to reattach the linkage to the control horn, and I think this jet is ready to put back in the air again. Okay, so that's the end of our little repair tutorial. We straightened out the nose, we straightened out the external fuel tanks, the end of the wingtips, we straightened out the horizontal stabilizer and the elevator and made it whole again. So This jet is now ready to launch again. I hope you guys found this repair tutorial helpful. If you haven't had to make repairs like this yet, you certainly will on down the road, I guarantee it. So hopefully this will help you adopt some of these processes and procedures for doing these repairs so you can get your plane back in the air again. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.